Welcome in this evening. This is the City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Jill Fraley, along with City Manager Donovan Blackburn. Back with you once again. Good morning. I was going to say good morning, but it's afternoon, actually.
It isn't. We're usually doing this in the morning, but it's
We
afternoon.
are.
So
That's a habit.
It is, but glad to be here.
Good. We have a lot of exciting things, as always, to talk about. Just wrapped up a huge Hillbilly Days festival. I want a number of how many people you think were here. And the rain held off until Saturday, but still a huge crowd downtown, even on a Saturday. So let's get right into it.
Well, Jill, it was a great crowd, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Saturday was really surprising to me because we had the rain and the parade, and it was going to be a large parade. We knew so because there is some election folks running this year, and usually when we have an election year, it's a bigger parade. But in a way that we typically gauge how well the festival is that we select several vendors, and then we ask them at different points and locations each year, and we ask them what the receipts are. Are they up or are they down from the years prior? So they keep that information, know that we're going to ask them each year. And surprisingly, Thursday, I thought the crowd was a little lighter than normal because, again, it was a little bit cooler on Thursday, but actually that wasn't the case. The crowd ended up being fairly heavy. The receipts from every vendor we talked to was equal to the year previous.
Prior.
So it was a good crowd Thursday.
I was down on Thursday for the biggest part of the day, and I thought early on it was bigger than it normally is. Just for that early in the morning, I think I got there like at 9:30, 10 o'clock to do some various things, and it was just a really nice time. The weather was, cooler but nice.
It was nice. And
able to get around and see what was there this time and then go back later on to the specific places. But I did think the crowd was really, really good. New events that went over this year. I know the zip line was there, the bull was there, all that sort of thing. Any feedback on how those?
Well, again, yeah. I mean, we got just really great feedback this year as the festival continues to get better and better. And as you know, Thursday was equal. Friday was an unbelievable day. Friday, everybody we talked to Friday, the receipts were extremely high in comparison. And I think a lot of people knew that the rain was coming on Saturday, so they came out Friday night.
Go ahead and get in.
So, a couple of the events that we had, back to your question, is that the fireworks each year, I can't brag enough. We appreciate, Appalachian Wireless always sponsors those fireworks, so we greatly appreciate the partnership that we have with them. The county and the city go together to pay the insurance, but the fire department, they go up and set the displays up and shoot the works. But you couldn't have asked for a better ceiling. The sky was clear. The ceiling was high. So the visibility of the fireworks were just absolutely phenomenal.
It was beautiful.
And the fire department, these guys take great pride in what they do. They're certified to do this. They shoot off. A lot of folks don't know, but the team that we have actually not only shoots off our show, but in Pikeville for 4th of July and this event, but they also go to other places and shoot. So they did a great job. Speaking of the zip line, something new and exciting. We had the opportunity last year, my wife and I and kids went cruising and went through one of the rainforests. I can't remember which part it was in because they take us so many places, but and had the opportunity to zip line and actually being able to, it's really taken the U.S. by storm. There's a couple of places locally now that has zip lining close by, and to have a little small version of that downtown for the kids to enjoy, it was a welcome addition. The carnival, Jules and Beck was the previous carnival owner, and I think we talked about it in a previous show. They were not bought out; it's the same organization, but they've changed their name and done some refinement. They had some additions into the festival that were very, very warmly received. So it's some cool weather, which there's some crazy enthusiasts out there loves these carnival rides. I got tickled at going downtown when it was 50 and 60 degrees and sprinkling, and they're up there on top of that Ferris wheel.
They're still there. The thing about the carnival is that we have had such luck with no injuries reported, no problems, and that was the same with this year. And I think that really just that speaks volumes about the type of people that we have that come into Hillbilly Days for our people.
Well, and I commend the chamber on. I'm going to commend them in a lot of different ways here in a second. But they've done a really good job early on in selecting this particular carnival, and I think the number, if my memory serves me, I think they run around 40 some events a year. So these are people that are coming to our community and taking these things apart and putting them back up and doing it in the safe fashion, or the way that they do it is great. And they really work. My fire chief and a couple of firemen, they go down and inspect the rides, make sure everything is the way that it needs to be. And they're all very, very compliant. We never have an issue. And we've had in the past, and I wasn't here during that time frame, but in the past, they've talked about how difficult that the carnival has been before. So it's been a blessing, and you know, the police department, since I bragged on the fire department, I'll brag on them as well. I mean, they, you know, I can't say enough good about these guys. They work, our schedule usually for Hillbilly Days is every officer works. We have the whole department out. They work 12-hour shifts on their feet, patrolling the festival. We have a couple that we keep on the outside, or the out boundaries of the festival in case there's calls for them to respond to. But you know, people would be amazed at how many times there's a lost child in these events, and they immediately go to work, and they found this year was no different. Cars that are in the way that have to be towed, but probably the one thing this year that unfortunately we had more than we have had in years past is on Friday, because the crowd was so large. We had a lot of not injuries, but people that needed medical attention. We had one person that had a heart attack. We had, and we have those things happen each year, because when you bring this kind of crowd together, and we're talking again an estimation of 150 plus over the 3-day event, you're going to have those type of occurrences. But the benefit is that, you know, the police department, we have those special carts that are you know, have all the equipment on the carts that we can roll through the crowd to get to them. So I think we had in one day 19 runs to the hospital just from downtown alone, and that's a tremendous event. The flip side of it is back to the police department, is that, Jill, this event has become very family oriented. I mean, it's not that it wasn't already, but you know, growing up, obviously we knew there was a lot of things going on at night that my parents wouldn't allow me downtown, but you know, this we had very, and I hate to go down this path, but the way we rank statistics and numbers is based on how many arrests that we have for disorderly or other issues, and we had very few this year. I think we had a total of 6 that were related to the event.
That's it.
Which is phenomenal. And you know, we had a domestic, and it wasn't necessarily issues with people being unruly or drunk or intoxicated in any way, but people behave themselves. You know, we have a couple new additions that really didn't evolve around the festival as much as they evolved around our growth. We got a new restaurant that opened up downtown that served the community for the first time, which we're extremely excited about. So and if you haven't, then I'm sure a lot of folks have already been to I can't remember.
Bank 253.
253. I always want to say 25. Anyway, yeah. They've done a great job with that.
It's beautiful.
It's a wonderful, magnificent facility. So, you know, a lot of folks got to partake in that new restaurant. And then, you know, off the subject, we have a new restaurant that's opening downtown this week. They're having their soft opening this week, and they've got their grand opening coming out next week. Yep, the 8th. So the Blue Raven on Main Street, which is, you know. And
the thing about it is that these are 2 totally different restaurants.
Yes.
2 totally different atmospheres completely. So what you're going to get one place, you're not going to get the other, and vice versa. And I think that's just wonderful additions. Both of them are wonderful additions to our community.
Well, I came up on my seat because I get, you know, Jill, when we sit here and talk, we talk off camera before.
Right.
This is what really gets me excited, is that the things that we're seeing develop in our community aren't the same old. We're getting a mix, and with the downtown area growing into an artsy type community and having 2 new hotels and now these different type of mix of restaurants, you got an Italian, you've got you know, a good Greek cuisine, you've got a burger type wings and beer type area facility, and then Main Street Grill, which has been there for a while. You've got Joyce's Place, and I know there's Sherry's. Oh yeah,
can't forget about Sherry's.
No, I mean, you've got some great variety downtown. So as we move forward, whether it's festivals or weekend events or conferences, you know, with the new hotel coming, that's putting us in a great position to get these small conferences in. I mean, you just can't help to get excited. I got tickled yesterday. I was somewhere, I won't say who, but it is all from perspective. But I was mentioning a business, and the person said, and I thought I would never hear this as long as I've been in Pikeville. They said, "Oh, great! And I guess that means we're going to get another building." So the point is that now people are looking at how many buildings are going on, and not that they're getting tired. And it was meant as a joke when it was said, But it just kind of put things into perspective that
There's so much growth.
there is so much growth, and we sit back and we see it every day. And we again talked about this before, but when you and I was talking to a good friend of mine, a lot of folks know him, Dusty Lane. Dusty, who does a lot of photography for the city.
Dusty's everywhere.
He is. He does everything. He's everywhere, and he does a great job. And we were talking this past week about a visitor that had came in and hadn't been here in some time, and just looking around at the growth and saying this isn't the same town that it was 10 years ago. And that's, our people should be proud of that.
Absolutely.
Our community has embraced it because it's not just change based off of seeing Hillbilly Days grow. Because, Jill, when I came on in 2004, we weren't on the boulevard at that time. We weren't in the parking garage at that time. So moving from just Main Street and Huffman to now we're on College, we're on the boulevard, we're in the parking garage. The festival continues to grow. I know we've got some other things to talk about regarding festivals and things, and I won't say not festivals, but events in the city with the River Trails program. But one of the other things, we had our grand opening, and I'll call it a grand opening, but it was actually a business night at the Expo Center this past week for our tourism department. Jesse Bowling, my tourism director, we presented, had a great crowd there, and it was really a great presentation. But it was amazing to me for people to sit around the room and look at and say, I can't believe you've got all these initiatives going on and we've done it in less than a year. So when you look at the motorcycle trails program that we've partnered with Double Quick and Harley Davidson on.
I saw a pamphlet on that this morning.
Yes.
I didn't know that was going on, and I was looking at it. We had a guest in our radio studios this morning that had actually ridden their motorcycle from North Carolina, and I said, well, how perfect here. She's going to be here for, it's a lady. We're going to be here for a few days. And I gave her one of those pamphlets, and she said, this is the greatest thing.
Well, we've been talking about it for about 6 months, and what if you're a enthusiast as I am, and I ride my Harley at different places when I get the opportunity, but you talk about the Dragon's Tail, and you talk about going out west in different parts of Kentucky, and we've got some of the best riding anywhere in the state. I guarantee, I can, knowing what a motorcycle enthusiast wants, which is scenery, usually a curvy, a slow down road, streams, brooks. You can't find beauty like you can here. So, what the intent is, and if you haven't seen this, I would urge the public to get on our website and or to stop by one of the Double Quicks or the Harley shop and get one of these pamphlets, because what the intent is that you can go on different trails and you stop at different locations and you collect these stamps. And then when you get done with your stamp, you get one of the poker chips. So it's a collectible that you get with this as part of the trail program. But the beauty of it is that there's places highlighted along the route that you can stop and eat or stop and visit. So we're able to now showcase, and we're going to start marketing our trail system. So we've got river trails, we've got horse trails, within the area. Not that we manage right now, but we're working on our own horse trail. You've got four-wheeling trails, and you've got these motorcycle trails. So we've got some of the, God's blessed us with some of the great, the most unbelievable beauty than anybody has throughout the rest of the state. So we need to take advantage of that and showcase and be proud of it. So I get really excited. But when you looked around the room, you've seen the motor trails, you've seen the kayaking, the US 23 country music highway, the Road to Fame.
Road to Fame.
And there's a couple of other initiatives that Jesse had out, and he had some really good displays. But what was great was coming after the event and how many people came up with Jenny Wiley. We had a rendition of it, but just talking about how much is going on. And then when you layer onto that with the Expo Center and the Main Street program, with the Main Street Live, the stage out front, and what they've got planned this year, which is great. And then you layer into that the Artisan Center program, which I just ran into Sam this morning. I know y'all were voting on the Bears last night.
The Bear Project.
And I was
They're
looking.
not going to be naked bears long.
They are not. And I obviously I get those little exposures that I'm not supposed to get that you all are working on as the board. But to see the photo of what they're looking at transforming these bears into, my gosh, I mean, it is just so exciting at what we're becoming and what we're bringing to this community.
Absolutely.
So I mean, y'all, I commend. And then a great job in this. And then of course I would be remiss if I didn't mention we had a couple representatives there from the Good Old Boys Car Club. And the Muscle on Main event this year is going to be bigger and better and brighter, and there's a lot more participants coming in. And we're probably in the same sense of Hillbilly Days. We're outgrowing it to the point where we're going to have to start pushing it probably out towards the boulevard to get more in here. But you know, they've got the block party scheduled this year. And if you haven't been to a block party, and if you've gotten that nostalgic, you know, you like that nostalgic feel, and coming in and hearing the old bands play, the good music, as I call it, and seeing these hot rods out there and just sitting in the parking lot and kicking tires, it is a great event. And I mean, I know I get a sense of enthusiasm, but you know, Jill, our community is continuing to grow in, and I'm not taking. I clearly understand. I'm not taking credit necessarily just from the city's perspective.
Right.
It is a community effort. We got people all over, like yourself. Al's off screen looking at us here. I mean, we got people like you, Al, and I can name on and on and on and on that are participating in these different organizations and these different events, and are really pulling this stuff together. So you can't help to get excited.
Well, it is exciting, and we've talked numerous times before about we can go to Lexington, Louisville, Cincinnati, Charleston, those type of areas, and it's fun to go there, and we will continue to do that. But the great thing is that we're not really going to have to go a lot of places anymore to get the same type of fun, entertaining type activities, family-oriented activities that we have had to travel a great distance, at least 2 hours, to get to before.
You're exactly right, and I know it's on our agenda to talk about here, but you know, we'll expand that and say, look at the growth. I can't keep saying this enough, but look at the growth of our community over the past several years, and we forget where we were. We often too forget where we were, but look where we're heading. Not only are we the destination location, and by the way, and I can't remember the publication. I'll kick myself for it, but the Sports Authority for the state ranked the East Kentucky Expo Center as the third best venue in the state of Kentucky.
I saw that.
For sports, and again, not realizing all the programs that are played in there with the University of Pikeville ball programs, both the girls and the boys, the football, the drillers, the 15th regional tournaments. There's also a lot of other smaller sports activities that go along in there. We're working towards, and I don't know, it's going to still take some work, looking at doing some 3-on-3 basketball tournaments there that we're looking down the road at. But beyond just the entertainment factor and the sports factor, and you look at all the complex we have, but we've talked about it before. Look at from the medical perspective, you know, we've got this great hospital here that's got over $100 million projects going on. We become the regional medical hub. You look at the educational standpoint. People don't have to go away anymore. You've got great leadership in Governor Patton and Walter Bay with the hospital and the university. At being able to, next on our list here in a second, I'm jumping ahead of your list, but is the East Kentucky Leadership Conference, and I won't get into all the details. We'll talk about that in a second. But I'm excited because I sat in a session with Governor Patton, and he put on a session, 3 concurrent sessions, and to listen to the Big Sandy Community College and the university, or the community college. Let me just say it that way: the 2 community colleges that serves the East Kentucky region, and the university, and what they're looking at going forward in the planning of bringing the 2-year program and linking into with other 4-year programs, and allowing our kids, our youth, to expand upon their educational is just absolutely amazing at what they're working on. And they did a great job. I know, actually, I think Pike TV recorded one of the sessions, and I think they're playing it. But it was just a great educational piece to explain where we are and how we have been lagging behind and what the plans are to bring us to the forefront. The same thing has been said in the entertainment category. So now we're in educational, the financial hub. What's going on with the medical, and then the next thing that I know that you and I keep talking about off camera is the retail, the shopping hub. So, and I don't know, I'm jumping all around on our agenda here, but when they all kind of fold in together, and I get really excited about some of the things that are going on in this community.
It's really about the growth, the unmatched growth, really, of anything that I've seen in a very long time.
Well, you know, we've got, I mentioned the hotel. They're starting their construction, so we're going to have 250 rooms plus a restaurant downtown linked to within proximity, across the street to the Expo Center. So that puts us in a wonderful position. We've got some groups, and I'm trying to think. We've got a couple. We got a couple of groups that are coming in that we're hosting. Actually, are working with. And I apologize because Sean and Jesse works on these things, so they come to me and we finalize them. But we've got a softball camp, I guess is what you would call it, coming up, and that will bring in, I think it's around 500 young ladies into our community that will be participating as part of this camp. We've got the tennis tournament that we do each year, and it's expanding. I've just talked to a brother in my church, and they're working on the safety rescue, the event that we have up at Bob Amos each year. I'm going up to meet with him on Friday. So we keep expanding. You know, one of the things that I keep telling my staff, because there's other things that they want to do, the Main Street program met today with the folks over at the Extension office and talking about farmers market and how that can expand. You know, we don't want to get too big too fast because we need to be able to take care of our core. But if you look at all the events and all the things that's happening, and you look at the hotel, you know, we've got other businesses. All you have to do is drive around the city. It's not just downtown. You know, Food City, they've got their expansion program going on. They're expanding their store, which again gives us more outlets and more selection. So it's not just about who's expanding, it's about what's expanding and how they're expanding. We talked about the restaurants. We've got a couple of office complexes that are expanding. We got some housing, you know, Marvin Hensley's project downtown. He's working diligently to get those apartments expanded in the old Hardware Charlie building. There's several building developments that's going on. I just spoke to a couple of folks. I won't say their names yet because I don't know if they want it out. But there's 2 new housing developments that's getting ready to kick off that we had made some commitments to about 2 or 3 years ago for some infrastructure development. So they're getting ready to kick off their development. So there's going to be a lot of construction going on through the summer of housing, which is a tremendous need in our community, because we're bringing in all these businesses and all these activities, but you have places for people to live. And of course, you know, the judicial center is moving along, and the medical center is moving along on schedule. So there is a tremendous amount of growth. The retail complex is moving along.
Moving along nicely. I know. I prod you along with us. I know there's certain things that we can't talk about. But the great thing is that, like I said before, when we had to travel great distances before to get to the things that we need or would want, per se, we may not have to wait much longer for some of those things.
We will not, I believe. And, you know, I keep saying this almost every time I record, but the commission, we've got a great commission.
Yes.
I mean, these guys, I can't say enough good about them. They work very hard. They take this job very seriously. They get very little pay for what they do. Not no pay, but very little pay. They make $3,000 a year as a commissioner. But they have really been pushing me hard on this one project. I know it's the retail development, because we do want to be the retail area as well. We don't want our people to have to leave to drive all the way down to, whether it's Ashland or Kingsport or Johnson City or Lexington or Charleston or Huntington. We want to keep those dollars here. But you know, I've been working with, as you know, a developer for over a year. I've been working on a development plan for over 2 years, meeting with several people, and we have had a conference call this morning that I'm really excited about. I'm hoping, Jill, that you keep twisting my arm.
I keep saying I'm really excited about it too.
Well, I'm more so excited now because, again, and I know you understand this, and everybody on the street that I meet understands it also. And if you get on the web, if you get on Facebook, people are making up their own minds as to what's coming, which is part of the fun. But there are, you know, today is the first time that I heard a lineup of what stores that they have a letter of intent signed for, and then what stores that they're working on getting a letter of intent for. So if, you know, and I want to say cautiously that the biggest piece of the puzzle to still make this a reality is working with the post office. And we have had great success. You know, I really appreciate the post office. You know, I've been working out of South Carolina with their headquarters down there for the past year. A guy by the name of Jody Lowe, and I've been working with the developer, and we do have a contract, and the post office has submitted it to us. We have signed off on it. We've submitted it to the developer. The developer has now put his change request in, and that's now back in the post office hands. But there was very few requests, changes. The post office is supposed to have me the contract hopefully by the end of the week. I feel like that probably, and after our discussion today, the intent is within the next 30 days. And I'm saying this now because what the public will see is at the commission meeting on the 14th, I will be bringing finally, after 2 or 3 years worth of work, I will be bringing a contract between the city and the developer and asking the commission to approve the formal contract. The contract, however, will be contingent upon the post office deal working out. So I still have to get the post office piece for our contract to actually be in play. but the intent will still be is we will have a signed contract. So that big piece is off the table. The next piece is to get the post office to sign, and they have verbally committed to doing so, but they have a due diligence process which will take about 3 to 4 months once we sign to get through. Once that they sign, once that we get through that 3 or 4 months, then the deal is solidified. The builder is ready, or the developer is ready to move. Now, with that said, what I can say is that the developer has several, I'm trying to think in my head, probably about 10 or 12 LOI signed, different businesses. He's got several verbal commitments. In 2.5 weeks, there is, we actually had talked about it last year on one of my programs, is that every year there is and we're coming back from retail. As you know, I worked for Lowe's for many years, and probably about 80 to 90% of all decisions that are made for retailers on where they locate are actually made during a convention in Las Vegas. They have the National Retail Convention there, and it's a phenomenal event to go to. And basically, what happens is that these developers go in, and they will have a booth, and they will have a board behind their booth listing the properties that they have and where those properties are located. And then they'll have all the demographic information, and then they'll have what LOIs that they have. So you have another retailer that comes by and they say, oh, tell me about Pikeville, Kentucky. And then they see that they have stores A, B, C, D, E, and F planned, which gets them excited because they know they're going to be in that foot traffic where those stores are. Well, I'm proud to say that Pikeville will be highlighted during this conference, and they've asked me to attend. I told them I don't know if I can work my agenda around it, but regardless of whether I do or don't, the developer will be down there promoting Pikeville. Now, he actually promoted us last year, but it wasn't a committed project. This year, it's a committed project.
Totally different ballgame.
Totally different ballgame with commitment letters. So there will be other names that will come behind that. Now, with that said, as I said, I'm under a confidentiality agreement, and I get this question asked every time I'm on the street. Somebody wants to know, well, what's going. There's a lot of speculation. What I can say is that if things go the way that they are, I can tell you one thing: this community is going to be absolutely tickled to death.
I guarantee.
And you know, the commission has really been pushing me on, and because, Jill, the one thing that we did not want to do is we did not want to go out and bring in or take that development, because our property in our community, because of our topography, is extremely valuable. Not in price, it's just what locates there. And anytime you bring a Walmart in that does the type of business that they have, and you have that kind of foot traffic, you don't want to go over and put just something on the property.
Right.
The intent was to go after national branding. And the reason you want to do that is that then as those national chains advertise, they come to Pikeville for their shopping. So you start bringing people out of Virginia and West Virginia and other parts of the state, instead of them going again to the Lexingtons and Louisvilles and places. They now come to us. So I can tell you the lineup that I heard this morning that has signed. I can never ask for a better lineup. I am absolutely ecstatic. The community will be absolutely delighted. And these are stores that you typically have to go to the Lexington and Huntingtons to be able to shop at. So hopefully, the big question is well, when will you be able to announce?
Right. And
that's up to the developer. And I'm hoping that if things go down the trail that we think that they're heading, that it'll be this early fall, as of to when everything will be formalized, completed, and they'll be able to announce the names of who they have signed.
Right.
And just stay tuned. The commission, I know, I've talked to actually 2 members of the commission this morning that called me asking me where we were and how was it developing and what do we need to do to get it there. So be patient.
Funny you say that the commission is pushing you. Before I got here today, someone had asked me about it because they knew where I was going and said, oh, could you ask him about this? And I said, I can ask him. But of course, I said, but he, it's going to happen eventually. It's coming, but it's just got to be patient, right?
Well, it is a sense of just being patient with me, and let me explain this briefly. And the question is well, this is public property. Shouldn't the public be aware of knowing? And the answer is no. There is not that they shouldn't be entitled to. At some point, there will be, but under the open meeting law, there are a couple of issues that the commission can discuss behind closed doors, and development is one of those. And the reason that it is so important is you have to stand back from the developer's standpoint. One is their negotiating price. The commission, the question is well, that everybody may or may not be aware of, is that if a piece of property is owned by government, then you can sell it one of two ways. You can either sell it through a bidding process, you open it up to a bid, a fair and competitive bid, or if it has an economic advantage to your community by creating jobs and businesses, you can sell it directly without having to go through a bidding process. Well, there's no better way than a $30 million tax base off a $30 million project creating 600 jobs. Obviously has a major benefit to the community. So I can say that the negotiations that we have with the developer, the city is more than fairly being compensated. As a matter of fact, there are being free deals offered throughout the whole United States by communities that are trying to draw these businesses in. Based upon what our deal is right now, we'll be more than fairly rewarded for the property, and on top of that, bringing a $30 million investment in. But from the developer's standpoint of the question is why can't you tell us who's coming? Is that he doesn't want to kill his deal. If another developer is in the market that realizes it has a piece of property right down the street from them, realizes that he's talking, that there's an interest there, then now what you've got is an unfair advantage to that developer coming in good faith trying to orchestrate a deal with the city, and that the fact that his competitors now realize that they're interested and they're down there trying to undercut him on what his deal is. So the confidentiality in retail business is very important, because working from my past employer, we went in and you signed a confidentiality agreement, and if you broke the confidentiality agreement, we would pull out of the market because in fear of competitors either being right beside of you or trying to grab and mess up your deal. So it is extremely important to let us get through this due diligence process. But what I can honestly say to the public is that the names that you'll hear, you will be very excited about once they're formally and finally released.
Well, we've talked about growth. We've talked about all of our wonderful opportunities that we have. You mentioned briefly the East Kentucky Leadership Conference. For those people who may not know what the East Kentucky Leadership Conference is, can you just highlight a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, it's an organization that is, there's a board, of a group or board that brings elected, appointed leadership positions from all walks of life into a conference each year, and they talk about issues that specifically deal with Eastern Kentucky. This year they were partnered with the ARC, the Appalachian Regional Commission, that had some involvement. They had, I'm trying to think of who else. There were several other organizations that were part of their conference, and ARC was also, they were involved with the drug summit that Congressman Rogers participated in. But you get a lot of interested parties. When I say partnered, they attend these conferences, what I mean by partnering. But you had the Commissioner of the Department of Local Government, Tony Weiler, that attended the conference. So you get people not just from Eastern Kentucky, outside people, but have an interest in Eastern Kentucky's growth. And again, what the intent is to bring these groups together. And I attended a 3-hour session that talked about what does Eastern Kentucky need to do to move us forward economically. Where do we need to invest? And it was very informative, and again, people from all walks of life giving their input. There was a lot of information that I wasn't aware of. You get a lot of statistics and facts that was very, very informative. And then the next thing they do is they do concurrent sessions. They bring in different topics and leaders on those topics and open up discussion and points. And as I just mentioned earlier, Governor Patton, James Hurley, Vice President of the University, James Hurley, and then the presidents from the two community colleges in the area held a session. And they talked about what we needed to do to move, or first of all, they talked about what our problems were. Talking about the statistics and of where our youth is being educated compared to the rest of the state, and the challenges as of to why our youth is being forced to travel, and it's making it difficult, and what those challenges are. And then they talked about how that they could work together in partnering in creating basically a feeder type program to where the universities community college could send feed into the university. And it was great thought, great discussion. It was very educational, and I'll be candid with you, I was intimidated by the fact that there was so much brain power in that room.
Right.
Because they had some professors and
it is a little bit intimidating. I've attended those conferences too, and you just kind of sit back and really want to take it all in. like a sponge.
You do, and you know, at my age, I'm still sitting back and being taught daily, and it's amazing. And I say it's not just the resources that we have, Jill, from our amenities, you know, the expo and the things we continue to talk about, but the resources we have in people, the people that have all these expertise that live in and around our area just absolutely amazes me. And when you show up for these type of conferences, it's really a phenomenal experience. And then the opportunity also, anytime you go to a conference, the biggest, it's not just and I know the people that are watching has ever been to a conference, they understand this, but it's a networking opportunity also.
Absolutely.
That is
invaluable.
It is invaluable. To go down, matter of fact, we're working on almost an incubator type system, but in a sense that's what it is with these retail companies, and looking for what incentives that are available. And what we have found is there's some small business loan opportunities that we're pursuing for these businesses. There is the state through the job service program that they offer a incentive program for training. So when you bring in, for example, a new retail store, this program would actually pay for the first few weeks for them to be trained on the registers and do. So the company isn't out those dollars to where they're not productive yet. Because when, you know, again, coming from my background, if you open a new store in a new market, you have no experience at all. So you have to have at least a week or two of educating people how to run a register or how to stock. So there's some incentives that through that networking program or through attending these conferences that I found out simply through networking. And then, you know, the other part of the conference is an awards ceremony, which you hosted last year. You know, it's always an honor being recognized, or doing both ways, recognizing great performance and talents of people that have contributed to Eastern Kentucky, and then vice versa, those that have received those recognitions.
Absolutely.
So it's great.
It is a great thing, and it's a nice event to attend. I encourage you, if you haven't attended one, to try to do that. I have in front of me a whole list of grant update information. And I look at it, and I think we probably need to get to that because we're going to run out of time, because there's so much, I mean, massive amounts of money here. Where do you want to start?
Well, I'll tell you where I will start. I will start by thanking some people, and which is very, very important. I sit down each recording and I talk about the leadership of my mayor and this commission, and I always call my mayor my commission because they've got great insight. They make great decisions. Obviously, you can look around our community and see that. Beyond that, there's sometimes people that we don't necessarily forget about, but they are also our heroes and our people that we work great with, that they don't, since I'm not working with them day in and day out, you don't realize how much that they impact government, because they are government, and that's our legislators. You know, a lot of these dollars that I'm going to talk about, and what we've been very successful in doing, I've been here a little over 8 years now, Jill, and in the last 8 years, it's been very important for the city to try to bring as many dollars into the community without using those dollars off or out of our general fund from our local folks. So we have generated, I did a statistic, and I won't get it perfectly right, but in the last 7 years, we've generated about $25 million in various grants that through things like coal severance, things like RD, rural development, CDBG, community development block grants. Working through the governor's office, we have received numerous grants through the Department of Local Government, through their various, you know, working through the ad district with Sandy Runyon and going through the clearinghouse program. But you know, we have been extremely successful in the last 2 years, or I'll say last year and a half. On currently right now, I've got $6.7 million in grants that we are currently in our possession. The projects that we're working on. The benefit of that is these are dollars that we typically wouldn't get if we didn't go out there and work for them. So one of the things that we did early on was we had some internal people on staff that could write grants, but realizing how lucrative it was and how beneficial it was to the community, I've hired a full-time grant writer, and so I've got a director of economic development and grants. Melanie Stevens, and she worked at the ad district for a while. She worked through Unite for a while. She does a great job at writing grants, and then we've done some other work on some other internal grant writing, using some other aspects of our community. But a lot of these projects people are aware of. Some of them they're not, but I thought it would be unique, I guess, to put a price tag on them to let the community see how their government is working for them and what we're bringing back to the table, other than just taxing, paying your occupational tax,
Right.
paying your property tax. That, for example, a lot of folks, you hear a lot of times, and it's just a stigma, Jill, that, oh my gosh, the taxes are so high, I pay a lot of taxes. And I'm not, trust me, taxes, that's a whole different topic that we won't get into. But, understanding that the city, we only generate a little over $800,000 a year from property tax out of all the property that's in our city. It's a very minor part of our budget. And understanding our budget's about $32 million. So only $800,000 of our dollars are generated off of property tax. A big portion of our dollars are generated also off of these grants that we receive. And then we have utilities and things like that we also offer. But looking at our grants, I thought it would be fun to go down quickly. I won't spend a lot of time unless something catches your eye. Tell me and I'll expand it.
Let's see. We have, and this is something that I think everybody is really starting to get involved with, and that's recycling.
Yes.
Many different things. $40,000 for recycling trailers, floor scale, and a pallet truck. And some of those places, I know there's one located by Walmart.
Yes.
Center. And is there one on Town Mountain Road also, or on the bypass
There's
somewhere?
on the bypass right across from Dorsey's.
That's it, yes.
And actually what we did early on is we partnered, the county had actually got ahead of us on the recycling initiative, and they started some recycling programs. And the containers that are there, we partner with them, and the county actually received a grant for those containers. So they're actually picked up and managed by the county, and we partner with them on the placement and the advertising. What we've done now is with this grant is that those same containers we were able to acquire 3 of our own. So we're going to be placing those containers at those same type of strategic locations, giving the county the opportunity of moving those into a different area so we can broaden where you can go to recycle. The other thing that we started 2 years ago, we received a grant last year for, I think it was $80,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, $60,000 to $80,000. We were able to acquire a baler, so we now do a cardboard pickup program. So we're now doing cardboard, we're doing pallets, we're doing recycling centers. So to invest, the problem is, and the question is, well, why don't you come into the communities and offer the containers where you can separate and we come and pick them up? And the reason that we haven't done that yet is because of the costs associated with it. You have to actually buy a different type of garbage trucks for those. You have to layer on additional personnel because you have to pick up the recyclables good. So it would basically double our cost of our trash service, which means we would have to increase our rates. And at this time, under this economic climate, we feel that we don't want to do that. But what we did want to do was to give the community the option, if they do want to go through recycling, it's very important to protect our planet, that we give them some venues to do that. So it's been a great opportunity. The grant we have currently awarded is only $40,000. Well, I say only $40,000. It's $40,000, but over the last 3 years, we've invested well over $200,000 on a building and some other equipment.
Easily, I'm sure.
Yep.
Another one, you mentioned earlier the AD Horse Riding Trail, 2 grants for that, and then Cole Severance in the city. Talk a little bit about how that money is dispersed and what that's going to be used for.
Well, it's 2 different grants, Jill, and what the intent is to construct a stable up at, if you've been up to Bob Amos where the water tank is, where the overlook is, you'll see shelter, I think that's shelter 3. There's a shelter that sits on the road right before you get to the Smoky Blankenship Trail. That shelter will come out, and instead we'll construct actually a stable that will have, I think it's around 20 stalls. And the intent is that we're looking long term to where somebody in the city that may not be able to own a horse, we'll be able to actually go up there and pay a rental fee and house your horse there. And then leaving a certain amount of stables open for people that are coming that haul their own horses in and want to ride the trails. So the intent is then to come off actually where the walking Smoky Blankenship Trail was. We have a gate up there right now, and we're looping a horse trail that will actually come into the backside of Island Creek and then come back around. So there'll be a good, I think it's probably 5-mile trail one way. That'll be running through the hillside and be a really nice
It'll be beautiful.
trail. And then we're looking at putting some primitive campsites in along the way to where somebody wants to come in and camp out overnight on a horse, they can do so. But that's the grant that we received is $160,000. Our great legislators legislated $100,000 for a match, and then the city, the general fund, will come $60,000. I started talking earlier, and I didn't finish my sentence, Joe, because I get sidetracked so easy. But I do want to go back to this point, is that W. Keith and Ray Jones and Leslie Combs has absolutely done, Eastern Kentucky. They do a marvelous job anyway down in Frankfort. They've had some great legislation that they've worked on over the years that I couldn't be prouder of them and for them to represent our community. But on top of that, all these grants, we just received $3.2 million in various coal severance line items that had been publicized. But each and every one of those, I went down and met with them, and I had to, they do their due diligence as well. They made me sit there and explain why and what and how it benefited the community. But and there were some projects that, quite honestly, didn't make the cut that I had went down with. But it was projects that I understood, and we took a priority based on the dollars that was available. But they're always listening and always understanding what our challenges are. They could probably sit here as well as I could and talk about the growth opportunities. They understand what's happening with Marion's Branch, the retail facility, the downtown areas, because we're always in communication with each other talking about those development. So legislating money for a sewer plant, because if we don't build this retail growth that I'm talking about, all this other stuff, we squash that. They understand that, and they've done a phenomenal job at working with me. So a lot of these grants, again, are through our local legislators. And then you've got, again, I mentioned Hal Rogers' office and the Corps of Engineers and all these other agencies too that again, every time that I've gone and asked them for something, they do their very best to step up and try to help the community.
And then one I want to point out is the Early Warning System Grant and the Commercial Air Service Grant.
That is two very, very important grants.
And they're right there back to back, so I had to talk about those.
Well, the Early Warning System is a $200,000 grant, and we thought it very important. And the irony of this is that we were approved for this grant right when the tornadoes were touching down this year. The grant application had been in for some time. We actually applied for this grant 2 years ago and was denied because there wasn't enough funding. But we did receive the award for this grant, and actually the system was supposed to have been in by now. There was a problem with we wanted to make sure that the placement of the sirens, and if you know what an early warning system is in the event of a tornado, a flood, several other things, you hit the switch and the sirens go off to where that you've heard in the larger cities. We're looking at a twofold program. One is the sirens, and then two, we're testing the system right now, and some of the people in the community may have gotten some phone calls that when there is for example, a severe thunderstorm warning in the area, we have the ability of hitting a button and it will call everybody within an area that we want them to call, and it will actually give you a voice recording that please be aware there is it will actually send you a text. Also, if you go onto our system and sign up, you'll get a text on your cell phone, you'll get a phone call, and then if it's really severe or a problem, then we can hit our early warning system, protect our citizens. So, again, the commission was disappointed 2 years when we didn't get the system. They were delighted that when we did get the system, especially on the tail of what happened with the tornadoes that touched down in and around us. So this will be a great asset to our community to ensure that we're protecting our businesses and our residents from any undesirable or natural disasters that may or may not occur, because obviously they've been here before and they'll be here again.
Well, and we always thought they couldn't make it here, but in fact we have seen evidence that they certainly can. Now, commercial air service, this is something we've touched on a few different times, but this is a pretty significant grant.
It is. It's a $750,000 grant that we were awarded. We worked through Hal Rogers' office. It's through the FCC. I'm sorry, the FAA. FCA. Here I am. Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
The FCC is the TV people.
Right.
I deal with both groups, and I have to think about its communication network versus the airlines. Right. But through the FAA, and it is for the startup of a commercial air service business. We have been working diligently with the chamber and with the airport board. I actually have a meeting this coming Monday with the ad district to try to tie up some loose ends. So we're still moving forward. There's still some work to be done on it, but that money's in the bank. We need about another $1 million to make this thing probably a reality, and that's for the incentive package to bring the provider in. We have two providers actually, that's interested in coming into the market. So it'll I think probably another 6 to 12 months, and we should have some finality on where we're heading with this project. Well,
and that will be so exciting. We talked about the growth and the retail. That's a massive growth. That's major information right there. Let's see. What else do you want to talk about on here? Well, there's so many things, I can't pick one.
Obviously you've heard a lot about the Jenny Wiley Theater. We've got a $200,000 grant for the architectural design. That to design the project is going to cost probably around $400 and some thousand. So we got a $200,000 grant for the design. We've got a $175,000 art grant in that hasn't been awarded yet, but we feel very, very comfortable that it will be. And there is actually, that money will actually go for some artwork as part of the theater, along with probably some additional design work. We've got a project going on right now on Likens Creek. You know, Jill, over the last 7 years, we've invested about $15–16 million in different utility projects as part of those grants. We're bringing the good residents on Likens Creek, which was annexed into the city last year, sewer. So we're going to be, we got a couple of extension lines there. And the benefit of that project is that I told you there's a couple of other housing developments that's going to take place. This line actually feeds those other housing developments. So those property owners wouldn't have been able to develop that line for this additional housing if it hadn't been for the city being able to bring those utilities to them. So that's a very, very important grant. We've talked about the sewer plant. You know, we're moving forward, Jill, on a design. It was in the press here recently that the commission awarded a $900,000 bid award to a developer, or I'm sorry, a engineering firm to design the city's new sewer plant. Well, that's $900,000. That will not come out of the taxpayers' dollars. It wasn't come out of our general fund. It was done through a grant with the assistance of the Pride and Congressman Rogers through the Corps of Engineering. So that, I mean, that again, we're leveraging those dollars, and it'll be a great. It was a good grant at the right time to allow us to move forward. And then this, you know, quickly, there's several other things on here. I know we're getting close on time, but the legislators, just to name some of the grants that they approved through the single county coal severance, is that we've got we got $200,000 with understanding the commercial air service is coming to upgrade the terminals, because if we do get commercial air service, you also have to have the screening process in there. So there's $200,000 for that. There is $400,000 for a new fire station, and some people have seen that and asked me about that. And if the fire station that's currently on Thompson's Road, where the city's property, where this retail development's going, is in the way of the retail development. So we have to relocate that in order to make all these stores a reality. So in order to do that, this was an incentive to the developer to say, you don't have to pay for the demolition. We'll just relocate a station. So that's a $400,000 grant. We've got Judy's Place. You know, we got $30,000 for just an absolutely wonderful venue that services the whole region. And I see you smiling. You can't help to smile when you think of Judy's Place.
I served on their board for a number of years, and I was able to see everything that they do. Unfortunately, we need a place like Judy's Place, but the fact of it is that it serves the children who have been victims of such horrible crimes in such a fantastic way. And
Yes.
Laura Kretzer, the director there, does a fabulous
Unbelievable
job.
job.
Unbelievable job. She really does.
Unbelievable.
And you know, and I will say this: if you ever want to donate your time or a monetary donation, that would be a perfect opportunity and place for you to do.
I couldn't agree more. You know, I've had the opportunity of walking through the facility and understanding what it serves and how it serves, and you know, first it pulls at your heartstrings for
Absolutely.
one. And as you said, you know, it's sad that we have to have these type of facilities. But if we didn't have these type of facilities, it would be a whole lot sadder. I mean,
well, and for the people who don't know what Judy's Place is, it is a place that lessens the trauma for children who have been the victim of sexual abuse.
Right.
They're able to do the screenings there, the interviews there. They don't have to take them to a police station. They don't have to take them to a hospital. It's a home, is what it is. It's a renovated home. You go into it, you feel like you're in a home, and these children can come there and all of the necessary procedures are done, but they don't feel like they're being victimized anymore, and that's the heart of what they do.
Absolutely. And again, it's unfortunate that there's a need for this type of facility, but it would be very sad if we weren't able to cater or have a facility such as this that could cater to those needs. So I commend your past service, and I commend the current staff and the board of what they do for the community.
Phenomenal job.
Because it's full service.
It certainly is. We talked about the horse trail match, which is another exciting project that we've highlighted several times. But with all of these things that are mentioned here, the total is $6.7 million. And it's just amazing because everything here is so needed and so well deserving of the money and the grants that they've been provided for. But when you think about $6 million, that's not small change.
No, it's not pocket change, and it's a big part of a budget. And You know, everything, Jill, the easiest way I guess I explain it is everything works with each other. If you want retail, you've got to have quality of life. You know, you want, if somebody's coming here from Virginia, they're more enticed to come if they can see a concert, play in the park, see a car show, go up to a park system. You know, you keep them in your market and you spend money there because, you know, when I go to Huntington or Charleston or Lexington, I'm usually not just there shopping. There's other activities that we do.
Absolutely.
Or if there's other activities that we're doing first, then we go shopping before or after that. So we need to, for all this to work in with each other, we have to have the infrastructure, we have to have the property, we have to have all those things. So, and I go back to the 2005 Cities Comprehensive Plan, and that was our book to know where we needed to head. The Commission has worked it diligently. I can tell you we've achieved over 90% of that plan. Actually, one of the grants that we've received is to update that plan, so we are starting right now and working on a new comprehensive plan. So a lot of great things are moving forward, and with the activities, one thing before that we run out of time, I was looking over to see how much time that I had. But one of the things too is I know what I want to talk about is our boat or River Trails program.
Absolutely.
I mentioned it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something I've gotten very involved with. It's one of my new passions.
Me too.
One of my new hobbies, I'll say.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. And, you know, I told you before, I was a little bit skeptical at first because, you know, new things are a little bit scary for people. But once you get into one of the rafts or a kayak or a john boat, if you have those, and you start to float down and see the beauty, you really just, you forget where you are. It's great.
Well, I would challenge anybody that's an outdoor enthusiast. If you have not been on the river on a kayak or even a canoe, do it one time and then come back and tell me that it's not catchy and you don't want to do it again. It is. And I'll tell you point blank, and we talked about this earlier on when we were talking about this program, but if you going through the Cut Through Project, if you have never seen the Cut Through Project, it's something, again, we take for advantage or for granted because it's been there, it's been part of our life for many years, but understanding the second largest earth-moving project to the Panama Canal and how much earth was actually moved, you can get a total new, different perspective going through it on a kayak.
Well, I think I told you this the first time I told you that I'd gone through there. And you kind of slow down in that area just a little bit so you're able to take everything in. And when you look up and the road is on your right and this massive mountain is on your left. We drive past it every single day. Every day that I go to work, I drive past it. You don't think about it. But when you're there and you see the enormity of the mountain and the way that the layers are done, you can really appreciate the fact that we have something pretty special in that cut through.
We really do, and it's, you know, for outdoor enthusiasts, it's great exercise. We're going into the type of season where it's going to get hot, and being on the water is a great way to tone your tan and enjoy and not just your tan but your muscles as well, because there is some work involved in paddling.
No kidding.
No kidding. You will know the next day if you haven't done it that
you'll know the whole next week.
But it's a great. And if anybody has any interest, they need to log on to the tourism website, which is www.visitpikeville.com. Walmart is actually, we've asked them, and they are now stocking kayaks.
And they can barely keep them in stock. I was over there the other day and talked to somebody about that.
They're flipping them. You know, they had some hesitation initially, but now they're flipping them. But we are now, and why you want to log onto the website is that we have hired somebody. We have our own bus now, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we drive down at certain times of the day. You can bring your own kayak if you want, or you can rent one from us. If you have your own kayak, you load it up. We can take you to one of several drop-off points, whether you want a 2-hour float, a 4-hour float, a 6-hour float, and you can float right back to your vehicle. So it's a great event.
And let me say this about being on the river and seeing how beautiful it is. I can't say enough about the Pride program and what they do to keeping our rivers and streams clean, because I will tell you this. Now, you're occasionally going to see certain things, and that's just the nature of it. But you don't see hardly anything, any trash, even in the trees. I mean, if we have a flooding situation, obviously that's going to take place. But can't say enough about the way that they have worked to keep everything
They have.
clean.
Sean did a river cleanup just about a month ago with the Pride program. And it's essential to keeping the river trails clean if you want to have a good experience. So it's important to us.
Certainly is. Now, that website again is?
www.visitpikeville.com.
Okay, get all your information that you need for kayaking, rafting, canoeing, anything else, paddle boats, paintball. We'll talk about that on a different show.
Later.
Talk a little bit about, or tell me quickly the website for the city that people can go to reserve shelters and things of that nature.
Very good point. www.cityofpikeville.com. Our shelters are free at no cost. We've got 5 shelters in the city system. Bring your park event, family reunion, church, your wedding, church groups. We do, again, no cost.
First come, first serve basis?
It is first come, first serve. If you get on the city's website, you'll see a place right in the center of the website that says reserve shelters, or the actual annex building. The annex building, there is a cost because of the electrical cost in it, but all the shelters, again, no cost. You can go on there, easy.
Very easy. Attended several events there. Love it. Donovan, we're out of time once again. We've talked about many, many different things, and we will do it again in a couple weeks.
We had a whole new page to go through.
You know what? We'll save that.
We'll get that next time.
We'll save that for the next time. But again, thank you for what you do. Thank the commission, and it's just amazing what's going on in our community, and just proud to be here.
Well, thank you, Jill. Appreciate the job you do.
All right, Donovan, thank you. That has been the City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.